of pure manual testers or pure manual testers being as agile testers and then shouldering the responsibilities, I think long gone. Okay. Now, okay, we've just talked about one particular aspect here in this particular presentation. That was about test scheduling precisely, and we also touched upon test automation and continuous integration and team skilling. Another area where there's a potential scope for optimization, though not discussed in this particular presentation, is using about intelligent use of environment, tools, and test stubs. So what the overall trend is that especially where a lot of device integrations is involved or a lot of third-party integration is involved, the idea would be to use white box test stubs, custom-built white box test stubs to really test those areas. Because what happens is when you get to a real situation, it may be too late in the project, or simply you might not be able to afford that environment early on. So if you have a tester which is going to simulate a particular device behavior or a particular load behavior by a custom-built test stub, it really helps us test that upfront, and it will also help us unearth the architecture or design vulnerability which is present in the software. This is again a very advanced, a specialized topic in itself, and I guess that will be another area where we see a lot of innovations and adaptations going forward. Okay, this is now we are going to the last part, the last slide in this presentation. So how do you know that, okay, yes, we are going in the right direction? Our agile testing initiatives are going ahead and they are giving us the desired benefits. Okay, the first point is that as you see on the left, the key point is that if we are seeing that end-to-end behavior and non-functional requirements are tested early enough, I think that's a real positive sign. So that means that the software is being put for a realistic use upfront, early in the sprinting cycles, early in the release cycle, and then so if you are having any issues, you will know it upfront, at least the critical ones, at least the bottlenecks. So if they are done early, that's a real that's a real good showcase for an agile testing initiative. And I believe that, okay, we need to start small and then get bigger. So we are not looking at any numbers here, say 10% of the functionality is tested or 20% is tested. So whatever is possible early on and upfront should be done early. And then as we talked of in earlier on the co-location slide, defects in discussion, clarification, and dispute mode are reduced, which means that because teams are working on a collaborative fashion, teams are co-located, and teams are engaged in open communication, we expect that a lot of these things get sorted out. So the defects are either taken up for development or rejected upfront. So you don't have too much of these intermediate ones hanging around and then disrupting the progress of the project. So we also see a healthy interaction between developers and testers, and they're doing informal testing, like what we spoke of in the shadow environment and stuff like that. And then we also see testers providing all details required to fix a bug. Essentially, we're not talking of cases where there's a lot of ping pong going on between developers and testers, telling that this is not available, that's not available, and then this going on for days together and killing the project progress. So how do you know it's not doing well? We see the items on the right. So critical defects being found late, impacting the release date. So yeah, that's the basic premise of what we're doing here. So if you find critical defects, then obviously there's something very critical which was not tested early on. And then high number of open defects, which means that a lot of the defect, basically the preventive actions have not been good enough, and the defect fixing and verification have also not been good enough. So it shows an overall deficiency on the sprint progress and also on the testing side. An increase in number of escape defects. Escape defects are those defects which are missed out by the testing team and which are found out in subsequent phases. So this means that if the increase in number of escape defects is the ultimate measure for a testing team's effectiveness, and then if you find more defects on that side, you find that, okay, they've been influenced by the development team's thinking. And then lastly, if you have a number of lot of stories which are not done due to the functional test not being done within the sprint, it also shows that there is some problem in execution of the test within the sprint, and probably you need some ramping up in test number of dedicated testers, or you need to look at what they're doing. Probably they're doing mini waterfall. So these are the key indicators as we see here, as a negative warning sign. So we come to the end of this presentation. I'll look at the questions now. So it's just one of the adaptation, and it's just one or another. A few of the adaptations which I have talked of here. And as we know, as in when Agile gets matured, Agile as a practice, as an art gets matured, I see that a lot of more of such innovations and adaptations will come up, and then we are coming up to address the specific project needs or specific needs, depending on the product, whether it's a product or an application or it's for maintenance and types. I'll take the questions now. I'll just go on to that.
Thanks for the insightful presentation, Subramaniam. Let's quickly take up the questions. I request you to read out the questions and their answers so that all our users may listen to your insights. Are you able to access the questions pane?
Yeah. First is from Rambo. He talks about localization, international standards. How does this affect Agile testing?